Why laziness is my biggest strength. What a weird kind of question, right? Or affirmation. But hear me out. So the reason I'm saying laziness can be your biggest strength, or I think sometimes it's kind of one of my biggest strengths, is because I think, since I was a kid, I don't know if it's the same for you. Since I was a kid, I used to ask my parents, what do I need to do to be successful? And of course, the study, have a degree and all this. They used to say to me also, the harder you work, right, the more successful you're going to be. And it's not that they were wrong with that. Partially true, obviously. But it's not necessarily 100% true, because working hard doesn't mean, the harder you work doesn't mean you're going to be more successful. It just means you're working harder, right? If you're doing something that can be done getting some leverage, right? There's no reason for you to be working as hard doing that, because you won't be able to achieve as much. For example, let me probably put a very clear example, kind of a real life example. If I gave you a piece of wood and a nail, and I ask you to put the nail in the wood, and the piece of wood, what would you be thinking, right? Would you be thinking, I'm gonna put it with my hand? Because that will be working really hard. Now, whether you are able to get it in the piece of wood, nail it in, maybe you can, but how much more effort would be than if you were to get the hammer and hit it with the hammer, right? That kind of it's common sense, right? But yet, when we go into business, people tend to, for example, if they need to, let's say, if you have 10 appointments today, that you need to, let's say, present your opportunity to 10 different people, the first thing is some people, and this is, by the way, this is what I used to do. I used to drive from coffee place to coffee place 9 times in a day and present 9 times to people, which is time consuming, is exhausting, and at the end of the day, the last presentation wouldn't have the same energy that the first presentation of the day, right? So going back and saying laziness can be your biggest strength, and my biggest strength is because before I actually go and do something, I really think, how can I get the biggest result with the least amount of effort, right? Maximum performance with the minimum effort. So if I go back to the example of presenting, right? Wouldn't it make sense to, instead of driving around, first of all, you can put people together. That's one option, right? You put the 10 people together and you do one presentation, right? Now, in addition to that, let's say that you're not able to put all these 10 people together, right? Or 9 people together, and you still need to do different presentations, 9 of them, right? Wouldn't it make sense that before I actually doing that presentation over and over again, I sit down, I record in front of the camera like I'm doing right now, or in many different ways. There's so many softwares nowadays that you can actually use. You actually record a presentation, which is the presentation that you were going to do, right? You record it, and instead of you doing the presentation, you actually get these people to press play, right? Watch that presentation, and what you do, you use your energy to answer the objections after they've watched that presentation. Do you think you can do that 9 times a day? Or you can do it even more than that. How much leverage would that be? So in that case, being quote-unquote lazy is a strength, right? Because you are using that to say, hang on, instead of me working so hard, I'm still going to work hard, but let me also think smart, because maybe there's no need for you to put, the nail, right, to nail the nail with your hand. You can use a hammer. In this case, there is so many things you can use, tools at your disposal that are going to leverage your time and your effort so you can be most productive and you can achieve your goals faster. So just remember, being lazy, quote-unquote lazy, sometimes can be a strength. if you use it the right way.